I have nothing scripted. This is a little pre-Pitchfest check-in, and I'm in bed. I didn't want to get it set up on my computer. As you can potentially hear, I'm very sick. I knew I wanted to do a little pre-Pitchfest check-in, and then I got sick, and I was like, well, let me wait until I'm not sick anymore and I have a voice again. And this is day 10. So it's showing no signs of getting any better. So we're just gonna do this. So currently today, as I sit here recording this, it is actually Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, happy belated Thanksgiving to anybody. And it's November 28th, and Pitchfest is going to be happening December 4th, 5th, and 6th. So the short primer, if this is the first time joining for this, Pitchfest is a time where my publishing imprint, Skies Press, all of the publishing, well, not all, any of the participating publishing imprints from Bindery are open to submissions just openly. So typically how publishing works is that you write a book, you get an agent, and then your agent submits to publishers, but Bindery recognizes that a lot of people get stuck in that middle portion where they are trying to get an agent. A lot of very talented writers with wonderful manuscripts get stuck in that middle portion of trying to get an agent, aren't able to get one, and thus are never able to even get a foot in the door of publishing. So a few times a year, Bindery opens up to open submissions, and that's Pitchfest. If you were not here for the first time, you'll remember that we did Summer Pitch Fest, and that is where I found my first acquisition, To Bargain with Mortals by Ari Basu. I don't know about you guys, but to me, it feels like we just finished that, and now we're doing another one. But it actually wasn't. That was in July, I believe. I believe Summer Pitch Fest was in July. It just took me a really long time to get through them. I think it took me like 7 weeks from the time that Pitchfest submissions opened to contacting Ari Basu to acquire her novel. I think it was like 7 weeks or something. So I don't know. It feels like it just ended, and now we're gearing up for another one. So here's the opening check-in. So for Summer Pitch Fest, it was my first Pitch Fest. If you remember at the time, we got so many more submissions than I was expecting. I was expecting maybe a couple dozen. That would have been pretty cool. The thing with Summer Pitch Fest was that at the time that Pitch Fest opened in summer, my imprint had only been announced 11 days prior, I think. And so to me, I'm an unknown quantity. I'm brand new. Nobody even knows I exist. So I'm probably not going to get a ton of submissions. Lo and behold, over the course of 3 days, we got 99 submissions, and I did not know what to do with that. I am obviously not a professional acquiring editor, or at least I was not at the time. This is my first time going through an acquisitions process, and I was on somewhat of a deadline, which I clearly overshot, but I was on somewhat of a deadline. So that was a lot. And I think, here's the thing, is I actually think my strategy, which I'll talk about in a minute, was pretty solid. I think my strategy for how I was going through manuscripts was pretty solid. What needed to change is that I need to be so much more cutthroat about it than I was being. So I need to move faster, and I need to be so much faster to say no to something. And that's what's hard. And the thing that I'm gonna have to get over, mentally, is the idea that things are gonna slip through the cracks. That is just how publishing works. I am one person. Things are going to slip through the cracks. So it's entirely possible that I might end up overlooking something or saying a very quick no to something that, if I had taken more time to look at it, might have been great or might have been something that I loved. But when they're coming in by the dozens and I am one single person and I have a deadline, it is unfortunately just the nature of publishing. It is the nature of my publishing imprint. It is the nature of every publishing imprint. There are a lot of submissions. Even when you have agented submissions, there are a lot of submissions and only so many publishing houses. So that is something that I'm just gonna have to get over. So my strategy, I think I'm actually gonna stick pretty solidly close to what I did before, which is where I let the 3 days elapse. So they have a 3-day open submission period, December 4th, 5th, and 6th. There's a 3-day open submission period. And then at the end of day 3 or, day 4 or whatever, I have access to a spreadsheet with every single submission in there. In that spreadsheet, I can see a lot of different information, which includes things like the title, the author, I believe Actually, no, it doesn't. There's no listed genre. But regardless, the important things are that every single submission submits both a pitch letter and a full manuscript. We are not taking partials. We are only taking fulls. So a pitch letter is basically one-ish pages, typically one page, of somebody pitching their book. So like a light synopsis of the book, some information about comp titles. You'll often see like comparable other book titles of like, if you liked this thing, you know, here you might like this book, or like we take this part of this book and this part of this book and smash them together and you get something like this. So comp titles, a synopsis, and some information about the author themselves. And then a full manuscript. We are not accepting partials. You have to send us the full manuscript. So I have all 99 submissions, I have that full book. So I have 99 books. Here's the thing. I am very curious to see if I get a similar amount of submissions or fewer, because I feel like it's the holidays. So things might be a little bit slower. On the other hand, my imprint has been around a little bit longer. I have acquired a title that is on its way through publication, or like through production. So there is a level of like realness to my publishing imprint. That manuscript that I picked up was from Pitchfest, so it's one of those things where like if you submit here, you might also get your book published. And what I think is most important in the general scope of Pitchfest is that the last Pitchfest happened before Bindery's first releases, and now we are post Bindery's first releases. So the four books that came out in the fall, House of Frank, Inferno's Heir, and The Skybled, Strange Beasts, were the first books that came out from Bindery. They now exist in the world. Bindery is now a proven concept in that they can point to these books and say, we did this. Like this is how this happened. This is a proven thing of like, we took these books through this entire process and now they're out in the world. And at least one of them, I believe House of Frank is the only one that came from Pitchfest. So that potentially means that there are more eyes on this as well. So it could be slower, it could be more, it could be fewer. I really don't know what to expect. I would be perfectly happy if it was fewer and it was easier for me to get through, but we'll see. Oh my God. I started to say I was going to talk about my strategy, and then I didn't talk about my strategy. So with all that in mind, the strategy basically is that I go through in the list, just in order, I read every single pitch letter. So every single pitch letter right off the bat, I open it up and I read it, and based off that pitch letter, I give a quick yes, no, or previously I had done yes, no, maybe. I think I'm not really gonna do maybes this time around. Because what I found was that I had enough in the yes pile that anything that was in maybe just got shuffled over to no. I had enough to work with in that yes pile that everything that wasn't an automatic yes just became a no, and I moved all of those off to just focus on this one. Ari actually just texted me. I just got a notification. I'm filming this on my phone. I just got a notification that Ari actually just texted me. So I shuffled that, or I take those pitch letters and I give a very quick yes or no. I will leave myself open to having like a couple of maybes if I'm really on the fence about something and I'm like, let me take another look at this. But pretty much it's either immediate yes or it's gonna go into the no. And by the yes just means like, I'm interested in this, I would like to see this again. So things that I am looking for in the pitch letter is obviously, I am really looking for something that is, first of all, in my wish list. The amount of submissions that I got that were like nowhere close to my submission wish list. My submission wish list is pretty wide, but I mean, it feels pretty wide. There's a lot of stuff that it could be, but like, it's actually pretty narrow. I'm looking for science fiction and fantasy novels. Ideally, I'm looking for second world science fiction and fantasy novels. And that's kind of it. That's kind of it, actually. And I state a preference for diverse voices and for work by women writers, queer writers, non-binary writers, but that doesn't mean that I'm closed off to everything that doesn't fit those categories. It's just that I have a preference for those, but pretty much I'm just like, I'm looking for second world sci-fi fantasy. but still the amount of stuff that I got that like wasn't sci-fi fantasy or wasn't oh man, the thing that I really wanted to include actually, and I don't remember, I'll have to look again at the listing that's on the website because we couldn't fit it in the social media blurb. Basically, I had like a blurb. I really wanted to rewrite my blurb because I got a lot of stuff. It was a learning experience. I got a lot of stuff last time where I was like, ooh, I wish I could be more specific about what I don't want, because I'm seeing a lot of the same things that I know I don't want and are an easy, like, you know, don't need this. And it would be much better for my time and anybody submitting if I could just state that I'm not looking for that. And largely in this case, it was romantasy. I'm not looking for romantasy. I am very, very, very picky about romantasy that I like, and I'm not really looking for it. So initially I'd had a blurb that included like not seeking romantasy, like romantic fantasy, okay, not seeking romantasy. But now I've lost my train of thought. That keeps happening too. Like I'll just be in the middle of a sentence and completely forget what I'm saying. I'm on a lot of different, I'm on 5 different medications. I was gonna say I'm on 5 different meds right now. Well, at least one of which is over the counter, but regardless, what the fuck was I saying? Give me a second. I genuinely don't know what I was saying. I don't know what I was saying. And I'm not interested in stopping this, looking back at it, and seeing what I was saying and coming back. I'm just going to keep this recording going. So I'm not looking for romantasy. That's what I was talking about, romantasy. I had to take it out of the like social media blurb that I like don't want romantasy, but I can't remember if we left it in the blurb that's on the website. Regardless, I know what I'm not looking for. So I know the things that are like a quick no. I got quite a few like mystery thrillers or contemporary, like literary fiction where I'm just like, this is not for me. This is not what I'm looking for. Move this off. So I just need to be much more cutthroat about the things that I'm saying no to in that moment. The other things that like, if the writing in the pitch letter is not impeccable, I need to move on. Because my thing about the pitch letter is that this is the author's best foot forward. A pitch letter is the author putting their best foot forward. So if the pitch letter is not well written or is in a voice that I don't particularly like or that I'm just not feeling, then that the manuscript is probably going to be written the same way. So if I'm not feeling the writing in the pitch letter, if I feel like it's too wordy or it's too vague or, you know, there's just something about the voice that I'm not digging in the pitch letter, it's very likely that that's this, you know, the same kind of writing that's going to be in the manuscript. Because in this case, a lot of times for traditional publication or through agencies, if I'm getting an agented submission, often the pitch letter is written by the agent. So it's not necessarily the same kind of writing style that I will find in the book, or at least it's heavily edited by the agent. But in the case of Pitchfest, where it's coming directly from the author, that pitch letter is written by the author. So if the pitch letter is not grabbing me immediately, or if I'm looking at that pitch letter and thinking, this seems like an interesting story, but like the writing that they're giving it to me in really isn't great, but like it sounds kind of interesting, maybe I should check it out, like probably not, right? Like I just need to be much more like I need to bring the hammer down on like what I'm saying no to, because I can't have myself giving all of these yeses, because then what happens? So I go through that first and I have yes, no. And then I push off everything else that was a no, never to be seen again. We're moving on. So then I have the pile of yeses, and then I reread the pitch letters for my pile of yeses. So what ended up happening last time is that I had 99 manuscript submissions. I had 79 no's and maybes, and I had 20 yeses. And the yeses was 20, so I was like, all right, well, I don't have enough, like the maybes are just going into the no's. So I had 79 that I pushed off, and I just had these 20 yeses. So I took those 20 and I read the pitch letters over again. And I think I got rid of maybe 2 or 3 of those. Actually, maybe like 4 or 5. Anyway, I took those 20, I reread the pitch letters to make sure they still sounded like something that I was super interested in. And then I started reading first chapters. So I would take, previously with the pitch letters, what I had done is that I went through and I just did it in order of like submission order, because that's how I see them in my spreadsheet. But for the first chapters, Jesus Christ, I'm trying so hard. I'm 15 minutes into this recording. I just need to, this is the longest conversation I've had in 10 days. So I'm really trying to just keep with it and get through this. So I take those 20 and yeah, whereas previously I was going just in order of where they were on my spreadsheet. This time I'm actually kind of picking out like, okay, this one I'm really interested in, this one I'm really interested in. Like, and I'm like picking out the ones where I'm like, let me try the first 1 to 3 chapters of this. Let me try the first 1 to 3 chapters of it. And then from that, I can be like, no, yes, of like, I want to read more of this, or now that I have a clearer look at the writing, I don't like it and it can be moved off. And there were quite a few that like I would read the first chapter and was immediately like, I don't love the writing here. Something's not clicking with me. I'm not interested in this, or for whatever reason, and I can kind of move it off. And then I have what I'm actually doing. Now, where this got a little bit messed up in a good way is that I was reading the first 1 to 3 chapters of one of the manuscripts, and then I just kept going. And I just kept going. And then I suddenly was halfway through the manuscript and it was 2:00 in the morning. And then the next day I woke up and I was like, damn, I want to finish that. And so I did, and I read the other 50% of it. And that was the book that I ended up acquiring, To Bargain with Mortals. So that was actually the first one that I read. And so like if that happens, I kind of am just going to let that happen, I guess, because it worked out last time. But that was the first manuscript that I read in full. And then I kept going because I was like, this is good and I really like this, and like I could see myself publishing this. Like I like this a lot, but I want to make sure that I'm like giving everything its fair shot, that I'm giving this book itself a fair shot against the other things that I was also looking at. So I went through and I read 3 more of them, and in the course of everything, like I was still reading first chapters of some of them, and I ended up reading 3 fulls. If you remember, I actually printed them out. I was dying reading these on screens. Anything that I read more than those first 3 chapters of, I transferred over my Kindle, because my Kindle is definitely easier on my eyes than my laptop. But even after a certain point, I was like, I need both for my eyes, I need a physical copy of this. And it was very, very helpful to me to be able to physically mark up the manuscript as I was reading. And so like I have To Bargain with Mortals under its original title, or the title it's submitted to me as. I have that original manuscript that I marked up when I was reading it. That's just a fun thing. Anyway, so all that to say, that's my general process of like going from submissions to like a long list to like a short list, and then reading those, and that's where we're going. So I'm gonna do, I think, the same concept. I'm just gonna do it faster. I say very confidently. So I'm gonna try my best to do it much faster and to give myself more leeway to just be like, bring the hammer down on it. Like, say no, it's okay. Like is it possible that I lose something in the shuffle? Sure, but that's just the name of the game in publishing. You just kind of got it. Anyway, I'm deeply curious to see if I get like more or fewer, and obviously I will let you guys know. I'm probably going to do the same kind of update videos that we had for the last one. So if you remember, or if you were here for the last Pitch Fest, basically what we did is we had if you weren't here for the last Pitch Fest, is I had a series of update videos in the middle of Pitch Fest to kind of keep you guys updated and to keep myself kind of moving on things. And so I did check-ins every day of like how many manuscripts I had received, or how many submissions I had received. So I was like, here's my day 1, my day 2, my day 3 check-in. So checked in with those, shared some of the pitches with you guys, and then I gave you guys a look at my process going through the pitch letters the first time and giving my yes, no, maybes, and how that was going. And then as I was cutting things, and then of course, all the way on through to the very last update video that you guys got, which was when I was reading all of my 4 shortlisted manuscripts, and I gave you guys a short synopsis or a little bit of information about each of those that were on my short list. And then I eventually picked one. The other thing is, this one will go faster because I am on a tighter deadline, because the idea here with Winter Pitch Fest is that we're trying to look for things that would publish in spring of 2026. That's kind of what we're looking at here. And so we'll do Pitch Fest earlier and subsequent Pitch Fest, and we've talked about this with the bindery team. But this one is just kind of butting up against that spring 2026 deadline. So there is like an early January deadline if we want to get things out by spring 2026. So it will definitely, for better or for worse, will move faster than the last Pitch Fest that I did. And I also, again, I mentioned this, I think, a ton last time. It is absolutely 100% possible that we go through all of Pitch Fest and I don't pick something. That is totally possible. That is absolutely a very valid ending to this Pitchfest thing. Is like, I could go through all of this and not find anything that I'm particularly drawn to and particularly feel like I want to publish this. So something to keep in mind as we're doing all of these updates is that the end result of this is not necessarily that we have a book to publish. It's entirely possible that we wouldn't. So there is a bit of an update on Pitchfest coming up. So that's going to be next week. I am really worried about how sick I am in conjunction with Pitchfest because I don't feel great. And because I don't feel great, I'm struggling to focus a lot. I've been struggling to read while I'm sick, which, may affect, I'm talking about like I may get to the end of this and not have a book to publish. It may affect the fact that like this isn't a great time to do acquisitions for me. I'm really sick. Hopefully I don't look that bad. This is, I think, the first day in quite some time that I, first of all, showered. I got up, I showered, I dried my hair, I put on some makeup. Like, I really just wanted to feel like a person today. So hopefully I don't look as awful as I feel, but I don't feel good. I don't feel good. And hopefully, this is me just being sad about the fact that I've been sick for so long and I'm still sick. Hopefully I am not still sick next week because Pitchfest is going to start on Tuesday? God help me. I hope I'm not still sick on Tuesday. Tuesday will mark 2 full weeks. That'll be day 14 or day 15 of me being sick. So, hopefully I'm not, but that is to say that that is a factor in all of this. If I'm still sick like this, who knows? I don't feel very good. And now I've lost my train of thought again. What the fuck was I saying? Anyway, that's the thing that's happening. So, yeah, I am excited. I am nervous. I am a little like, oh my God, this was really hard last time. I am excited to see how much faster I can move on this one. And I'm really worried about how sick I am. I actually have some acquisitions that I need to clear out. Like agented submissions. And I think Shira just let me know that I got a new one today. And I'm like, dude, I'm not feeling it. I was in the emergency room earlier this week. They don't know what's wrong with me. They don't know, mostly meaning we don't have a name for whatever illness that I have, but it is clear that I have some sort of respiratory infection at large. It's not, it's not pneumonia, it's not COVID, it's not the flu, it's not RSV, it's not like the big stuff that they test for. And they're, I go in and they're like, there's a couple dozen different infections it could be, but we don't test for all of them. So here's a couple cough suppressants and here's an inhaler and go home. And if this persists for 2 to 3 weeks, come back and we'll load you up with antibiotics because it might be bronchitis. And that's where I'm at. So if this is still a problem next week, I might be back in the hospital. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. The point being, I'm sick and that may affect how this goes, but we're just gonna see how it goes. We're gonna work for it. We're gonna push through it. The best note that I will leave on that I'm sick is that I have started sleeping a little bit better. I got four straight uninterrupted hours of sleep last night, which is miraculous. I have not had that in 10 days. 4 straight hours. I felt like a fucking rock star. And the other night, the night before, it was my first time getting 2 straight hours uninterrupted. So I went from 2 hours of sleep uninterrupted to 4 hours. So hopefully tonight, maybe I can sleep a little bit better. Anyway, I'm just racking up a few more hours of sleep. Honestly, the sleep deprivation was really the worst part. And so I'm hoping that if I can sleep a little bit better, that this will all kind of just I'll just push through it. The being sick part doesn't feel good, but it was the sleep deprivation that was really, really making things bad. Anyway, now I'm just talking for the sake of talking. So yeah, there's our pre-Pitchfest check-in. I will see you guys for the next video, which will be our manuscript submission check-ins, where we'll get a look at how many we're getting and how it's gonna go. So see you for that.